Hi guys, in this video we're going to discuss the 9 reasons why Joe Biden will lose the election. Probably. I hope I'm wrong. Bernie Sanders has dropped out, which means that Joe Biden is the Democrat who's going to challenge Donald Trump. But there are more and more signs that Joe Biden is an incredibly weak candidate. And there are many on the left who refuse to vote for him. Look, I know it's early to make this kind of video. And this is not exactly a prediction, but it's an analysis of where Joe Biden's weaknesses are. I hope he wins in November, but if he doesn't, this will be the reason why. Number 1, enthusiasm, or the lack thereof. The percentage of Joe Biden voters who have strong enthusiasm for his candidacy is just 24%. That's lower than any Democratic candidate in 20 years. Compare this to Trump's enthusiasm. 53% of Trump supporters are very enthusiastic to vote for him. This election is going to be about turnout. A minority of people support Trump. But in order to win, you need those people who are dissatisfied with Trump to actually show up. There's a golden rule in politics. When voter turnout is high, Democrats win. When voter turnout is low, Republicans win. And so if Trump supporters are more ready to show up than Biden supporters, Biden will lose. And it shows in the polls. Biden is polling an average of 5.5 points ahead of Trump, which is lower than Hillary Clinton at this time, who polled almost 9 points ahead. And she lost. And that gap will narrow as we come closer to the election. On top of that, 55% of Biden supporters have their minds made up. They will definitely vote for Biden. Compare this to 83% of Trump supporters who will definitely vote for Trump. That means that 43% of Biden supporters can potentially be swayed to vote for Trump or someone else. Number 2, the youth vote. In the primary, Bernie Sanders won 57% of those under 45, while Biden won mostly older voters. But in a general election, older voters tend to skew Republican. Joe Biden cannot win an election if he doesn't get these young Sanders supporters on his side. The last time a Democrat won, Obama got 66% of the youth vote. Compare this to Hillary Clinton, who got only 55% and lost. Now compare that to Joe Biden, who has just 49% of the youth vote according to the latest poll. That's writing on the wall that Joe Biden will lose. Another poll showed that 15% of Bernie supporters would vote for Donald Trump. That's higher than the 12% who did so in 2016. And a big part of this has to do with the fact that many Sanders supporters don't feel that Joe Biden has given enough policy concessions to win their support. And you see this online with YouTubers like Kyle Kulinski, Mike Figueredo, or Papi Chulomin declaring that they won't vote for Joe Biden if he doesn't give any concessions.
Joe Biden's not going to fight for any of the issues I care deeply about. Any of them.
Fuck Joe Biden. Okay? This guy is making absolutely no effort to do anything to bring over progressives. He is a fraud.
These YouTubers collectively have hundreds of thousands or even millions of subscribers. That's enough to impact an election. If Joe Biden doesn't fix this and offer them hard policy concessions, they will vote third party, vote Trump, or not vote at all. Number 3, media exposure. The coronavirus has ensured that physical campaigning, rallies, speeches, canvassing are impossible. The only way to communicate is through the airwaves. And in this, Trump has a massive advantage. While Joe Biden is doing live streams, watched by a few people, Trump is on TV every day, being watched by millions of people. And love him or hate him, in a time of crisis, people rally behind their commander-in-chief. Trump went up in the polls because of the coronavirus. Now, this will go down again after a while, but it doesn't change the fact that as president, Trump has way more media exposure than Biden. And as they say, all attention is good attention. And what feeds into this is that Trump has way more money than Joe Biden. Trump has more than $240 million cash on hand, compared to Joe Biden, who has just $12 million. And in a time where grassroots organizing is impossible, advertising is more important. But unlike grassroots organizing, advertising costs money. And that gives the candidate with the money, Donald Trump, the advantage. On top of that, Trump is crushing Biden on social media. Trump has 106 million followers on Twitter and Facebook, compared to Joe's 6.7 million. Number 4 is China.
China.
Recently, Trump has been blaming China for the coronavirus. Now, part of this is to deflect blame for his own incompetence in handling the corona crisis. But China genuinely made mistakes that led to a worldwide pandemic. China allowed wet markets to thrive and censored people who dared to talk about the virus. Yet Joe Biden has moved to defend China and criticize the move to ban travel from China. And Trump has capitalized on this, releasing attack ads that show Joe Biden defending China, not just for the coronavirus, but also when it comes to outsourcing jobs to China, as well as the fact that Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, did business with China. He's even calling him Beijing Biden. So essentially, by blaming China, Trump has baited the Democrats into defending a totalitarian state and defending the outsourcing of American jobs. This election is going to be about the coronavirus. Now, I already released a video about how coronavirus will impact the election, but essentially, by responding in this way, Biden makes himself look like he's soft on China, and therefore soft on the coronavirus. Number 5, sexual assault allegations. Recently, Tara Reid, a former Biden staffer, accused Biden of trying to sexually assault her. Now, aside from the moral indignation that these accusations should arouse, they also have political implications. In 2 ways. Number 1 is, of course, that many Democrats who are concerned about women's rights are just not going to show up for a guy accused of sexual assault and who has a long history of touching women inappropriately. And it doesn't matter that Trump is doing the same or worse, because those people don't need to switch to Trump. As long as Trump can get enough Democrats not to show up, he wins. The second reason is that the whole affair has shown the hypocrisy of the Democrats. You see, when conservative Judge Brett Kavanaugh was accused of sexual assault, the entire liberal media and the Me Too movement were saying that we should believe women and take sexual assault seriously. But now, when it's a Democrat accused of sexual assault, you know what they do? They suppressed Tara Reid. The Me Too organization refused to help Tara Reid, and the New York Times waited 19 days to release the story about sexual assault, so that it would be after Bernie Sanders had already dropped out of the race. And they edited and changed the article to downplay the sexual allegations. For instance, the paragraph which stated that they found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Mr. Biden beyond the hugs, kisses, and touching that women said made them uncomfortable, was deleted from the article after the Biden campaign asked them to. By doing this, the Democrats and the liberal establishment have lost the moral high ground when it comes to women's rights. So now, when they point to Trump's record on women, all Trump has to say is, "Look at Biden. Look at how the Democrats cover up for sexual assault when it's one of their own." Number 6, Joe Biden is senile. I hate to say it, but the guy can't speak. And I'll let you judge for yourself.
Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
During World War II, where Roosevelt came up with a thing that was totally different than he called it the World War II. He had the War Production Board.
Do you think this guy can win an election? And what makes this all worse? Trump is not going to hold back. He has already begun creating attack ads making fun of Joe Biden's mental capacity, or the lack thereof. And he's only going to intensify his negative campaign. Trump is not afraid to hit where it hurts. You see, this is a time of crisis, and Trump is hardly reassuring. But if the other option is someone whose mental faculties are questionable, people will reason that they might as well stick with the status quo. Number 7, Biden can't take criticism, especially from voters. Time after time, every time Biden is in public and is challenged by a voter, he responds in a hostile and condescending way. Or when a union worker asked him about gun regulation.
You're full of shit.
Okay, this is not okay. Hold on. All right.
Hey, let's get what you're doing. There's a lot of guys.
A lot of guys wanted.
I'm not worried.
Or when he called this woman,
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
this way of talking to people is exactly the kind of out-of-touch attitude that caused Hillary Clinton to lose in 2016. And all Trump needs to do is play these clips over and over again. Joe Biden calls himself middle-class Joe, but by the looks of it, he's been out of touch with the middle class for a long time. Number 8, Trump will outflank Biden from the left. Back in 2016, there were a number of popular issues where Trump seemed more left-wing than Hillary Clinton. For instance, when Trump railed against the Iraq War or promised to end outsourcing and trade deals. And this election is the same. On the issue of war, Trump is trying to withdraw from Afghanistan, which we discussed in our last video. And for the coronavirus, Trump has promised to waive student loan debt payments for 6 months. He also continues to rail against trade deals with China. By outflanking Joe Biden from the left on certain key issues, he can peel off some left-wing voters, just like the 15% of Bernie Sanders supporters who say they will vote Trump. Number 9, Joe Biden seems corrupt. Now, of course, it's true that Trump is also corrupt, having taken money from the Saudis through his hotels and giving jobs to his family members. But Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, continues to benefit from his father's political position. When he was vice president, his son was hired to work for a Ukrainian gas company for a salary of $50,000 a month, despite the fact that he had no previous experience in the gas sector. Not to mention the fact that Joe Biden is part of the establishment that people are sick and tired of, just like Hillary Clinton. Even though Trump is the president, in this election, he still gets to look like the anti-establishment outsider. Joe Biden has a lot of baggage, but not a lot of inspiration. Increasingly, this election is starting to look like Hillary 2.0. All Trump needs to do to win is make sure enough Democrats stay home and not totally bungle the economy and the corona crisis between now and November. A lot could change between now and then. I don't know if Biden will lose, but if he does, this will be the reason why. So quick announcement, we're doing a Q&A when I reach 500 subscribers. Ask me anything, guys. Submit your questions to my Instagram. I'm going to leave the link in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, because this was my take.